Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Bark a Lot. I am very excited that the countdown because StreamYard never tells it like it says live, but you can never really be sure if you're live or not live yet. And so there always needs to be a little bit of a buffer. And so I had one that was not my favorite, but it was pulled together. My dad has done some amazing work, and we have one that is coming soon. It's almost ready. I probably could have used it, but that would require like having him send it to me, uploading it, all of that. So anyway, that is that is where we are at. Um, Welcome everybody. Let me know where you're coming in from, what you are sipping on this evening. Um, I am here in Maine. We are prepping for another storm. So if you are dealing with all of these storms, especially if you're in an area that keeps getting a lot of them and you aren't used to it, um yeah. May the force be with you. May your snowblower not break down. Me. That's my task tomorrow. Um and things like that. So anyway, welcome. What am I sipping on this evening? I am sipping on hang on, I need to move something out of my way because I cannot see and I need to make sure the camera captures this. So this is a local company, not sponsored yet. Um Maybe should be, not sponsored should be. This is a local brewery and this is come on camera, there we go. Lawyer up. Lawyer up. It is a delightful. This is a stout or a porter? Porter. The delightful porter. And I have to tell you, they do some seasonal ones that are amazing. Because I don't love like flavor things, but they have a couple that are just lovely. So I'm sipping on that this evening. It seemed like it was a good thing to go with. It seemed on theme because, we have well, what's on the list for this evening? We have a bunch of stuff to go over tonight. So the first thing we're gonna go over is I'm gonna give you the TLDR of the Kouri Richins trial, which starts on Monday because y'all know that I'm over in EDB's chat watching that, well, listening to it, gavel to gavel. So, coworkers, hi guys, this is going to be a week where you're just going to have to throw something at me to get my attention. Because me at work, I sit with my headphones in and blah blah blah, and every so often, I appear and then put it on 1.5 speed to catch up later, but, it's always entertaining, and I'm always giving the TLDR to anybody who's interested or will listen, or you guys, and I do wanna give a shout out to one of our community members on Threads. I put up a post and I was like, "There is all of the news this week because we live in the land of all of the news all of the time. And I'm like, here's our list of options. And so the request was there that I cover the Kouri Richins that I do my TLDR thing because while I enjoy a 5, 6, 7 hour live stream, um, I know there are a lot of people in my life that are like, "Can you just give it to me in, like, less than that?" I'll try. I will try. I make no promises. I'm a very long-winded human, as you know. Um, so there is that. That also reminds me to do all of the things. If you want the truly one of the very first place that I post polls and questions and what do you want me to cover and all of that, and also snarky commentary, or dogs that make their way onto the cross country field at the Olympics, things like that. That is Threads and Instagram. So if you go follow me over there, that's usually when you will get the announcements of the first things down the road once the community, so if folks get memberships and things like that, when we get to that point, then the members will get very, very first dibs on things. But Threads is always where you're going to see the more unvarnished me. Am I varnished? I'm not varnished. I don't know. Anyway, that's where you'll find me. You can go follow me over there. I honestly, I think I have a TikTok, but I don't think I've logged in long enough. I have no idea how to get in. I think my TikTok has reached the point where it's kind of like my MySpace, where in theory it exists on the internet somewhere, but I have no idea. So anyway, Kouri Richins, we're gonna start there so that if you are here for that, we can just get that done and out of the way, and then, I have show notes, come up, work with me here. Okay, so we've Kouri Richins, and then we've got we do have to give at least a minute to former Prince Andrew getting arrested on his birthday. Whoever had that thought to do it on that day, like, well done. There needs to be like a 50-cent petty award because I feel like they would get that. So we will talk about that. Then we will cover briefly, maybe this one honestly may hit we'll deal with this later because while I find the Supreme Court ruling on the tariffs interesting, and I find reading that document interesting, I may also not have enough brain space for that toward the end of the night. So we will see. The other thing that I do want to cover is the SAVE Act. I did have it pulled up. I want to cover a couple of things on that. That is more important to me than president can't just tariff willy-nilly, despite what he may think. We also, chat, are going to need to make a decision this week. We need to make a decision this week. Do I subject myself to the State of the Union for the good of all of us? Or do we gather together and watch it live together? Let me know in the comments. Let me know in the chat. We will see. Also, if you are listening on one of the brand new places, Saturday nights around 7:15, we gather over on YouTube and we chat and we hang out, and this is what it's like. So find me there. And with all of that, especially if you're new here, I gotta roll the intro. And then we'll dive right into it. I will try and zoom through this as best I can so that you can get right back to your Saturday. But there's a lot. There's a lot on the docket tonight because for the love of God, can we have a boring week, please? Just can we please have a boring week? Actually, with this regime, if I'm being honest, a boring week would cause me serious concern. So, with that, I'm going to go ahead and roll the intro. Welcome to Bark a Lot with the Aurora H. White. I'm a legal biller by trade, opinionated law and politics nerd by default. I'm here to break down the political, pop culture, and court headlines that we're all talking about. We value facts, thoughtful discussion, and salty language, so whether you're a fellow law nerd, a political junkie, or just looking for a little hope in today's crazy world, you're in the right place. Tap that subscribe button, pull up your soapbox, and let's go. Let's go. Aurora, find your notes. Find your show notes. Sorry, I got completely distracted while the intro was running because, of course, I'm on the computer, which then decided to send one of those big red notification things my way, and, if if things are weird over here, if things look a little weird, the computer wants to update because of course it does. Of course it does. So if I just randomly vanish, it's probably that as well. Um, okay, let me move my notes so that you can still see me. What is with my hair tonight? It was doing so well. It was doing so well. And then all of a sudden it's like, no, there we go. Okay, better. I get distracted easily. If you know, you know. All right. So let us. Oh, and this really, computer, that's what made everything readable? Okay. Am I older than I wanna be? Mhm. Mhm. Alright, so the TLDR of the Kouri Richins case. If you do not know anything about the Kouri Richins case, first of all, go join me in my favorite chats. Um, Also, do let me know if you want the full TLDR of this trial. I am happy to provide it. I will also link in the description later my standard favorite channels that are going to be covering this case because I that's where I'm at. That's where I watch things. So you will oftentimes see me translating some stuff from there, and the people that I follow, especially for court cases, most of them are attorneys. So they're attorneys that will assist with explaining the law while the trial is going on. It's super helpful. I love it. I'm a nerd. And so that's where I'm at. And I am side note. we're gonna we're gonna sidetrack for a quick second. Um because I firmly believe in lifting up creators, even if they're like much bigger than I am, because that's where I'm at. That's where I'm in the chats. And I would love to see all of you guys there. And if we get to hang out multiple times in a week, yay, love that. So anyway, that's my little sidetrack. So TLDR, Kouri Richins. I should swoop before I do that. Squirrel swoop. Because I had a moment. I had a moment. I had a squirrel moment. Um, so Kouri Richins is a woman, she's probably about my age, I wanna say, and so, like, 40. I mean, I'm 43, I think she's actually a little younger than me, I think she's 40-ish. The allegations are that she gave her husband a lethal dose of fentanyl in either Moscow Mule or a lemon drop. Um, and he did not wake up after that. I got to appease the YouTube gods at the moment, so we'll get there. We'll get there, guys. So yeah, that is what the allegations are with her. This is one of those cases. With some cases, I can sit there and say, all right, state, prove to me beyond a reasonable doubt, even if I have some biases one way or another. I got to be honest with this lady. I couldn't sit on the jury. I've been following this case since I think Emily D. Baker or somebody else started following the case. And that was like 2.5 years ago. So anyway, it's been a while because she wrote a book. Because of course she wrote a book, because everybody's writing books these days. It's insane. Anyway, she wrote this children's book about grief and all of that. Things we have learned heading into trial that the jury, I need to make this very clear, does not know yet. Things we have learned from motions and stipulations and things like that is let's see, what's the first one? Well, the first one is the fentanyl thing. Um, we have also learned that there was zero paraphernalia around her husband. None. Zippo. Nada. And if you have ever known anybody who has been afflicted with that type of addiction, I can promise you what you will not find is zero evidence of anything if they have done it to themselves. So there's that. So this is a case out in Utah. The judge is amazing. That's a total side note. Mm, my computer trying to update while I am in the middle of hanging with you guys and streaming. Let's see. We do know that she was in a monstrous amount of debt and that there are fraud cases that have been severed from this case, right? So in this particular instance, like with Murdaugh, they were separate as well, but you'd never know that if you watched the whole trial. Well, trial number one. And so with this one, Kouri Richins also has a bunch of fraud cases for things like mortgage fraud and similar. Let's see. We know that if under her thinking, the information that Richins had was that if she divorced her husband, she would get nothing in financial compensation, and she would be the beneficiary of everything if he died instead. So there's some motive there. She was in a monstrous amount of debt. There was frauds being committed, and it does appear that that Richins, let me try to say that sentence again in a way that makes sense. There are also allegations that Richins had tried to do this a couple weeks before she succeeded. Round 1 was a breakfast sandwich, round 2 was a beverage. Anyway, I'm walking into this thinking that she is probably guilty. I am very curious to hear about the jail calls because given that some of her Google searches are luxury prisons for rich people, your Google searches will always tell on you. Promise you, the tech will always tell. We're finding this out at a national level or an international level as well. Your tech will always tell on you. It always will. Anyway, luxury prisons for rich people. There is also estate disputes because somewhere in there, somewhere between breakfast sandwich and beverage, it would seem that the victim in this case was like, things aren't right here. And he took all of his finances and everything, put everything into trust because they have 2 children, because of course there has to be collateral children damage. I'm so tired of collateral children damage. It's not okay. These poor kids. Anyway, and so he had taken everything, put everything into trust for the kids, and his sister was the lawyers, you're gonna have to correct me, arbiter of the will? Ar Executor? Both? Anyway, arbiter of the estate? Executor of the will? That might be right. Chat, please, if you're an attorney and you know this, correct me. Let me know because that's a stretch for my brain. We also know that Richin's first attorney was conflicted off the case, which is probably a good thing for her because it feels like this client is more cooperative than Sarah Boone, but also has some very strong opinions that the attorneys are having to deal with. I will say the other interesting thing about this is that Kouri Richins' defense attorney is also the defense attorney for Tyler Robinson. And I have watched a hearing of Tyler Robinson's once already, and I've seen a few hearings with a few pretrial hearings with Kouri Richins. And it's like she's two different attorneys, which the difference is so vast that either she does a really good job of just matching with her client or both, or her client in the Richins case is having more of a say than maybe she would want to. So, as we go into the TLDR of this, I am going to say that the judge has amazing judicial demeanor. I'm very excited to see how this judge judges the trial because I very thoroughly have enjoyed watching his decision making and whatnot in pretrial motions. I think he's going to be a lovely judge to end up watching. However, he does seem incredibly hesitant to let the media cover any of this. So I am begging the internet, no matter which chat you are in, I don't care. Be nice. Be nice. Do not ruin our ability to watch this. Please, internet, do not ruin our ability to watch this trial. Because trials should be streamed. I'm very excited about this. Anyway, this goes to trial on Monday. That is the shortest TLDR I think I can give you of the pretrial motions. If we want to do a longer stream, that is all Kouri Richins. Also, for those of us who's watched Karen Read twice, the initials KR having to switch to Kouri Richins in my head is gonna take a minute. So anyway, that goes to trial on Monday. I'm very excited to see what we're going to be looking at for everything in this trial. It's going to be a trial. She says, or well, her attorney says she's going to testify. I don't know. Until she testifies, I'm going to assume that she's not going to. But I have a feeling that this is going to bring some drama. Yeah, I feel like this trial is gonna bring some level 1 drama. So, all right, I am gonna swoop, and then I'm gonna have a moment where I'm gonna just sponsor myself for a quick second, and then we will move on with our evening. This is going to be the doggy swoop. Go ahead and hit mute if you have cats in your lap or a dog that is super sensitive to barking, because this is not the one that I do have available. I just haven't put it on StreamYard yet. So anyway, quick mute. When the video is done, the barking is done, and you can come back. Okay. I just hid my notes on myself. Okay. So, there's like 8 million articles on here. I'm not doing a deep dive on this, but I had to call it out. I really had to call it out because not only did former Prince Andrew get arrested, was it for the like super icky crimes? No, it was for, hang on, I need to get the right verbiage. Suspicion of misconduct in public office. Hey, in this country, in the United States, we have not had a single domino fall. We have had, things like the insanity of Pam Bondi basically laughing at the victims. Um, my face I know is facing because the words that I have for that are go against my own rules, and it's really hard for me to not do that. But so I'm a little giddy. I know he got arrested and then he was held for a while and then he was released. So I know he's released, but still, he was in fact arrested. He gave us a terrible picture of himself, which is on my thumbnail. Um, because thank you for having the picture that matches um seemingly the personality. I'm here for that. And whoever you have to know. Okay, this is in my head, right? He got arrested on his birthday. That is just that is a delightful little addition that just matches the alleged crimes so perfectly. Happy birthday to you. Have some handcuffs. Not in any sort of a fun way. Like, we're going to, and I am glad that at least elsewhere in the world, there are consequences starting to happen. I would like to see some consequences here. That is a different show. That's a different show. Uh, mm, I do wanna have consequences here, though. I'm getting very cranky of no consequences. Yes. Here's what we know, though. At least there are investigations happening. Um, Andrew's brother has had to be like, "Well, maybe we should take him out of the line of succession." Truthfully, if you I here's where I'm at on that one. Um, I mean, yeah, but also it is a monarchy, and I know the family line shifted at one point, but, like, didn't Shakespeare write things like Richard the Third about yeah, I mean, it's not like the family tree is a beacon of saints. It's not like so whether or not he's in succession, I I don't know. I've not been raised in a monarchy. I lived there for like 6 months. I don't know how I feel about succession. I would like to see I mean, I don't know. They could figure out maybe how to I don't know what world he would end up on the throne. I mean, that's kind of where I'm at, is I'm like, does it matter? It's like, how far down the list is he? He's pretty far down if I'm remembering correctly. Like, he's gotta be so far down, like, "Really, Charles? Really? Really? That's what we care about?" I am gonna say that Charles does not actually have any say in who gets arrested and things like that, because well, over there, they actually do have a separation of, the monarchy and parliament, and the monarchy is head of state, but kind of in name. It's complicated anyway. I could go back to my British life and culture class and try and remember everything that we learned, but I am gonna say it's eh, yeah. Like, we should have a Department of Justice that is independent. We have for, you know, most of the time, and now we don't, and it's taking some getting used to. Which does happen to be the perfect segue. That's where we're gonna leave Andrew, who I he got arrested on his birthday. Investigations are happening. Keep them happening. I wanna see the other countries start coming for folks because if that's what it takes, that's what it takes. In this country, I don't even know who we call at this point because Congress, this Congress isn't ever going to impeach these people, but, like, what happens when there are all of these? other people that are supposed to be the watchdogs, but they're also involved. Like, how do we fix that? I don't know. Somebody smarter than me is going to have to explain to me how we fix that and who we contact, because if you're in a state like mine, I could call Susan Collins every day. It's not gonna do any good. She does not care. She does not care. Her staff, I don't think, cares at this point. So anyway, I digress. That is a consequence that I love to see happen. Get them all. Get them all is my personal feeling, and it's not political. I don't care, and I've said this before, I don't think any of us that cares about kids on any level, I don't give a flying fuck what your politics are. If you are able to do the things that they talk about doing, do anybody. Um, sorry? Oh, okay. My apologies, chat. I am on, like, usually there are other folks besides me in the house, and tonight it is me and the pets. And I heard a bang, and it was the cat who has now joined me, who is not going to say hi to stream, by the way, because why would she? But so my apologies. My apologies, chat. I had a moment and I was very concerned. And if I suddenly go mute, it's because she's going to pull the cord out of my mic. With that, I'm gonna swoop. And I'm gonna doggy swoop just because she won't hear it. But I'm gonna doggy swoop. No, I'm gonna squirrel swoop, so you do not have to mute me. I'm gonna squirrel swoop because wow, I'm buffering tonight. We're gonna take a minute after the swoop. The squirrel swoop caught the cat's attention. That was pretty funny. Okay. I gotta be honest, guys. Let's cover the SCOTUS ruling another time. I did listen to the SCOTUS ruling. I listened to the oral arguments of this, so I am not surprised at all. Are you okay, honey? Okay, there we go. Sorry, cat getting settled. I am truly not surprised. You could kind of tell where this was going. Here's what I am surprised about. Here's what we will talk about for a hot second, because I was one of the loudest against Amy Coney Barrett when her nomination came up. And listening to her, in not every time, sometimes you can tell that somebody got her on the phone and has put something dumb in her head or something. So sometimes that happens. But I admit that I am surprised. But partisan admission here. I The folks who nominated her have a certain thing. They also nominated Kavanaugh. So there's that. Kavanaugh is hard to listen to and annoys me most of the time when I'm listening to Supreme Court oral arguments. Amy Coney Barrett, however, asked some fascinating legal questions. And in the last couple rounds that I've listened to, I have to say, Barrett and Jackson are citing the most interesting law. They're asking the most interesting questions pertaining to the case, and they seem to agree a lot. Don't tell them. Don't tell them that. But they do seem to agree a lot, and a lot of that seems to be Barrett looking at the law in different ways, like a lot of the lawyers that I listen to or talk to or things like that. Um, so having listened to that, it was not at all surprising to me that it came down on those lines. You can kind of tell when you go listen, and I that argument the Solicitor General brought a terrible argument for the tariffs. It was awful. It was a bad argument. He wasn't going to win that really at all. So, um, there was what is happening? Okay. I'm gonna wrap up real quick because there is things happening in my house and I do not know what they are, but I need to go check on them. So I am going to swoop at we're gonna skip SCOTUS. We'll come back to SCOTUS and the rulings because there are other rulings coming down the road too. It's the computer, honey. Okay. The kitty is very fascinated in what I am doing. So, um, I don't even know. I don't even know. I have gotten so distracted. I am so sorry, chat. I've gotten super distracted. I do want to cover the Save Act a little bit. I do have it up and I don't want to have to go over it again. I also have some words of wisdom. I will leave you with those. And then I'm going to say goodnight because I guess I need to go be with everybody. So, um, okay. Hang on. All right. This is what happens when you do a show live. This is what happens when you do a show live and you have critters and are on your own. It's dynamic. We're learning something new every day. Squirrels, Save Act, and then I say goodnight. All right. Here's what we are going to look at. This is going to be a challenge. So, chat, especially lawyer friends in the chat, I am going to want, especially if you're a constitutional lawyer or, cover these sorts of things at all, I'm very curious as to how I do when we go into this. All right. I need to pick the right one. Okay, there we go. I feel like that needs to be that I think is better. I feel like that's better. That way we can actually see it, all of us, myself included, and we can take a look at everything. So, this is one of the things that I am going to say and contact your reps, contact your senators. This is working its way through. And if we can't get the result that we want by contacting them, then we have to find the way, then we have to just malicious compliance our way into not letting this take away our right to vote. Does that make sense? Like, if this is going to happen, we need to know what it is so that we can prepare, and we need to prepare now because the aim is to disenfranchise a fuck ton of voters come midterms. That is their aim. That is what they want to do. Belle, you are giving me the heebie-jeebies. Please don't give me the heebie-jeebies, honey. So that's what they want to do. So we need to know what is in here so that we can start gathering our paperwork together. Because here's the thing, guys. Here's where we might actually be able to pull out a win. I know it's a little wild, but the folks putting this into place have not actually thought this through. I'm already seeing some of them where it's like, well, this person changed their name or this person came over here or that, you know. So like Ted Cruz, for example, he might get hit by this. There are a lot of folks that want this to pass and don't necessarily realize that they might tie their own shoelaces together. And the thing is, I'm not sure I wanna tell them. It would be fair. Like, I would want somebody to tell me so that I didn't tie my own shoelaces together. So, I would say let them know, but if they don't listen, that's a them problem. That's what I'm gonna say on that. So, let us go over some of this because this is, and we're gonna see if I can translate this at all. It'll be a fun game. It'll be a fun game, and we will see how well I do. Um, eh, I will give them this for marketing. They always market well. Okay, definitely. So I apologize. That yawn escaped me without my permission. Okay, so this is the actual thing. This is not the summary. I could pull up the summary, but this is the actual we're going through. What was I looking for? Okay. This is among the important stuff here. So documentary proof of United States citizenship as used in this act, blah blah blah, voter registration, any of the following. So basically, the first problem with this is trying to nationalize voter registration, which is kind of a constitutional problem. But what isn't these days? A form of identification issued consistent with the requirements of the Real ID Act of 2005 that indicates the applicant is a citizen of the United States. But it would seem that you cannot use your Real ID for this particular identification. So there's that. This is where it's going to get messy. A valid United States passport. I will say, while we can still get passports, go get your passport now. The process is going to be long, it is going to be arduous. Get your passport now. Start the process. Just start the process. I know I've been putting off renewing mine for way too long. The process is already started because you want to get in and get that done before they take that away. Because that is probably coming with this particular regime, or they're trying. They try a lot of stuff. They do not succeed on a lot of stuff. I know it doesn't always feel that way. They try. They don't always, they are not succeeding nearly as well as they thought they would by this time. Okay. Number 3, the applicant's official United States military identification card, together with the United States military record of service showing that the applicant's place of birth was in the U.S., valid government issued photo identification card by federal, state, tribal government. Lots and lots of photo IDs, but you're going to have to double check as to what is what. The other thing that these IDs are going to have is an extract from United States hospital record of birth created at the time of applicant's birth, which indicates the applicant's place of birth was in the United States. This is where it gets messy because the birth certificate that you've had forever that has gotten you jobs and all of that and proves your citizenship, blah, 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 it may not be enough. So my recommendation is get down to the DMV for the Real ID or your local passport office and then just start the process now because the sheer number of documentation that is going to be needed and the amount of time that it takes will make a federal court look fast. So you need to make sure you have naturalization certificate. If you are married, if you change your name in any capacity, you are going to need birth certificate. You are going to need the certificate of the name change as well, going through this. And that is gonna be tricky. So let me, nope, that's not it. Okay. Requirements for voter registration agencies. This is going to be a much longer thing. I apologize. This is first look, guys. This is what happens when Aurora pulls something up and then I start looking at it. And so, for those of you just listening, do not bother to come find this section on YouTube. If you're listening, just listening in the background, just leave it in the background. I quite literally I have the actual, because I love a good document and I do not trust the summary. That's what happened. That is truly what happened. I love a good document and I don't trust the summary. What I should have done was trust the summary a little bit more. So here's where we get into some things. Okay. In general, subject to any relevant guidance adopted by the Election Assistance Commission, each state shall establish a process under which an applicant who cannot provide documentary proof of United States citizenship under paragraph 1 may, if the applicant signs the attestation under penalty of perjury, that the applicant is a citizen of the United States and eligible to vote in elections for federal office, submit such other evidence appropriate to state, local, state or local official demonstrating that the applicant is a citizen of the United States, and such officials shall make a determination as to whether or not the applicant has sufficiently established. Oh my God. I swear that could have been said in a sentence. I am not an attorney. I swear that could have been said in a single sentence. According to this, states do have to provide an option for what looks to be an affidavit saying, I swear I'm eligible. I will provide the evidence so that they can vote. I have more questions about that. I do have more questions about that because if there's an affidavit requirement, I'm okay with. I'm not okay with the act. Do not misconstrue that. I'm not okay with the act. I am less concerned immediately if it passes, if that's the only thing. The problem is they're going to have great marketing, so we have to get the word out that there are these other options, right? That it's not just, the news loves a good clickbait soundbite. And that's why I like going. This is why I don't trust the summary sometimes. And this is why I don't trust the summary online from a lot of different folks because like I will trust a lot of them, but I also want to get my hands on the document itself if I can. So they are going to they want a uniform affidavit for, yeah, it is saying that they can provide an affidavit if they do not have the documents on time. Now, what's that going to mean for counting votes? That's another question. What's wild to hear is each state shall take affirmative steps on an ongoing basis to ensure that only United States citizens are registered to vote under the provisions of this act. This is a problem that does not exist. This is solving a problem that does not exist. I do not understand. I don't understand. I don't understand why you waste the time. I am a fundamentally lazy person. I do not understand why you take so much time to craft a document for a problem that does not exist. The numbers are less than 1% and generally mistakes and generally honest mistakes. It's not anywhere near enough to throw an election. It is a problem that simply does not exist. The problems that do exist are things like the FBI conducting raids for information that the federal government is not allowed to have. That is a different show. Sorry, I will climb down off my soapbox. Back to the SAVE Act. Sorry. Um, okay. Okay, this is gonna get interesting here. All right, so I'm this again, first look. Um, so we've got states use of SAVE system. The Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, right now, may respond to a request received under paragraph 1 by using the system for the verification of immigration status under the applicable provisions of section 137 social 1137, sorry, of the Social Security Act. Citation. As established pursuant to section 121C of the immigration. I I feel like that's a recipe for dumpster fire. That's what I feel like. Um yeah, yeah. The problem that doesn't exist. It's point yeah, it's 0.00001%. You are correct. You are correct. It is a problem that quite simply is just not like okay. I am granting my own motion. We are tired. This is prohibiting fees. I'm looking at this and here's what I'm seeing. One, this is going to run afoul of other laws. It is going to run afoul of other laws. So whether they enact it or whether they don't, what we need to do in order to protect our rights, and I'm going to say this, so much are going to get really annoyed by the time we get to the election. But what I'm going to say is get all your documents together, keep them in a folder or lockbox that you know and a trusted person knows. And that's about it, right? And make sure you gather all your documents. If you do not have a passport, go get one. If you do not have a birth certificate, or you don't think you have your birth certificate, or even if you think maybe you have your birth certificate, I don't care, get another copy. Because we are heading into weird times, and those weird times require you to have all of your papers because you're gonna need them at some point. At some point, they're gonna try and make you use them, whether you need them or not. If you have friends, neighbors, folks in your area that cannot get around or don't have the ability to access these programs and things like that to get their stuff, help. Help your friends and neighbors. Please, 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 because we have to be prepared. Here's what we need to be prepared for. This is a regime that telegraphs what they're going to do every time. Every time. We have they just unveiled a giant image of the president on the Department of Justice, which is 47 different ways that we should not be doing things. So, they're going to do things wrong. They're backing up the courts on a level that is just painful and pathetic at this point. What this SAVE Act basically means is if you have I'm gonna condense it. If you are adopted, if you are trans, if you have had a name change for whatever reason, You didn't like yours, you changed it, you got married, any of these things. If you may not know, you may not know. There are plenty of people out there who may not know they're adopted and they are about to find out. So there's that, which is a whole different thing. Basically, get your stuff together because if we maliciously comply, we can put reasonable people who would like to restore the institutions back in office. And I cannot stress this enough. We have the opportunity. They're trying to rig the election. We have to vote like they are going to try and rig the election. Don't throw away your vote. Don't, oh, it doesn't matter. No. Get your paperwork lined up. Make sure you are ready to go. Get in line, vote early, vote. I say vote early, vote often. What I mean when I say vote early, vote often is vote in the primary, vote in your local elections, vote for everything from school board to judge, and do your research. Also, if you are planning to run for local office, for the love of all things holy, put up a website. Please. Um, they want to have a lot of documents. And here's what I'm going to say. From what I have seen, this regime do and the people in it, they are going to think that they don't have to do that. So if we are paying attention, if we are getting together our birth certificate, our passport, marriage certificates, adoption certificates, um, social security cards, making sure you have 2 utility bills not online, but that they also send you a paper copy. You can call them, you can say, "Can I have a paper copy?" They can mail you a paper copy. Um, changing to, get city water if you can or something like that. I'm just throwing ideas out here. I wouldn't normally recommend that, but we are in weird times, and weird times call for weird solutions. So I am saying with the SAVE Act, we know they're going to want papers that they think half of us or more do not have. So what we need to do in order to undo this is we need to prepare for malicious compliance, vote them out, and then we can start to put reason back in place again. Yes, this is very important. Yes, vote for and maybe even run for school board. I cannot stress this enough. It is super, super important. Get to know your community, get to know who is running for school board. I am going to say this to the teachers out there and the educators out there who have run for school board, especially the ones in my town who won and ran, and I voted for you. I voted for you because there is nothing quite like translating a lesson plan onto a PowerPoint for your voters, and I appreciate it. They were the easiest ones for me to decide, yes, I want to vote for you because I could tell who they were, what their values were as far as education goes. And I do not have kids. I don't have kids. I have a lot of teachers in the family. But yes, that is excellent advice. Definitely pay attention. The same thing is with judgeships. If you are in an area where your the district attorney is always going to be an elected position. And yeah, we need to know. We need to know what they are and what their values are. Um Because we don't wanna end up with the situation in Canton is gonna be some kinda interesting this year. So, anyway, all of these elections are important because your local government is going to be able to look at what happened with us here in Maine, right? Governor Mills said, "No, sir. I'm gonna follow the law, and the law in my state and the federal law says this," and she drag the president to court. And as usual, every time he gets dragged into court, he lost, she won. And that's not a partisan thing. It's she won on the facts and the merits of the case. And he lost because he had bad facts and no merits for his case. So the courts have been a good fail stop, but they're super backed up because of all the BS that he's pulling. So local elections can provide more of a buffer. And I have gone on a full side quest and I apologize. But we need basically, if you have had anything change, look at your birth certificate, look at everything else. If there is even a typo amongst those things, start the process of getting that fixed now because it will be a red tape, bureaucratic nightmare. And we have to start now because all that crap takes time. And we have a big deal midterm elections in November. So we got to start getting prepared. Primaries are coming. The Texas primary is in a couple weeks. We should talk about that next week because I'm watching that primary. Anyway, I'm scanning through to see if there is anything else super important. No. All right. I covered everything that's super important. Basically, if you have had any sort of a change to your name, they are going to try and use that to keep you from voting. Because here's what they think. They think that applies to women and trans folks because they have a real weird understanding of what transgender folks of transgender people in general. Like they don't understand it. And so anyway, they think that's who it affects. The people is going to affect it might affect Trump because I don't know. It might affect him. I don't remember if that is the name on his birth certificate or not. If you go by your middle name and you have legal documents in your middle name, it will affect you. So get all your stuff together. This is your mission between now and next week. If you need somebody to give you a little homework, I have to do this too. So this is something we all have to do together, chat, okay? Get all your shit together, all the official documents, all the official paperwork. You got to get that together. You got to compare it. You got to make sure if you were married, do you have your actual marriage certificate? Because whatever you got during the ceremony apparently is not a thing. I have now heard that from a lot of different women. If you got married and divorced, have your divorce decree because you're gonna need it for all the steps. So be prepared. So I'm gonna quote my favorite YouTube weather guy, Ryan Hall, y'all. If you do not watch Ryan Hall, y'all, you are missing out on amazing weather. And when he's talking about the weather, he always says, "Don't be scared, be prepared." And that is we are going to adopt that. I hope he's okay with this. We are adopting that temporarily for the SAVE Act. We're going to assume that the SAVE Act it's like a tornado. We're going to assume that the SAVE Act is going to come our way and disrupt our lives for a few years before we can, apply reason again. And then what we are going to do is we are going to maliciously comply and watch the folks who want this to go through get bit by their own hatred. Because I do think that's going to happen in bigger numbers than they think it's going to happen. I really do. With that, you guys are amazing. Let me check my notes. I need to go check on the house. You guys need to get back to your Saturday. Just remember, if you are listening on any of the other platforms, hi, welcome. Please do all the things. If you like hanging out with us, share us with your friends because we're building a community here. We, me, me, myself, and I am building a community here. And it is because, I go on the chats, I'm in the chats, I see folks chatting about the same things. Let's all chat here. Let's all do this. Um, Also, if you are listening on one of the podcasting apps, come on over and join us on YouTube on Saturday nights. I do this live. And I have a day job, so editing is not happening yet. One day I will be able to pay somebody to do that, and I will sound even better. But for now, you're just with me on my ride. So, welcome. I love having you guys here. You guys are amazing. You deal with all my squirrel moments, and I could not be happier about that. And I love being here, and I love hanging out with you. And with that, you guys go on. Did I miss anything? Oh, I did miss something. If you want your Be Well, Do Good Barks a Lot merch, it is available on the website. I'm very excited about this. I have to order a bunch more samples because I love all of it. Anyway, okay, Aurora, you need to let these lovely people go and have a lovely evening, and that means you need to shush. So, okay. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much. Thanks for being here. As always, be well, do good, and remember to bark a lot. I will see you on the next one. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Bark a Lot. Follow me on Threads and Insta at the Aurora H. White. That's where I post most frequently between shows. Hit that like button, connect with us, and remember to bark a lot. We will see you next time.